because of, what was the play? Championship season. Yeah.
Yeah,
the New York audience knows what's on.
Sorry.
But we do. But Mary Beth Peil has been doing Follies.
Yeah.
And she shoots on Mondays, or we get her out by. I mean, I did one scene once with 4 actors. It was Bill Irwin and Pablo Schreiber and I forget 2 other actors. They were all on Broadway at the time, and we shot the whole thing on a Monday. And we worked 18 hours, and you just do it, you know, because it's worth it.
Hi, thank you for being here very much. So my question's more for Julianna and the writers. I've watched your episodes of Canterbury Laws, and I was wondering, it's obviously a different show, a different character, but I saw a little bit of Alicia in your acting, just a tiny bit, and I was wondering, it's another television show with a lead female lawyer character, so I was wondering if you brought any of that, just that experience in the past, if that kind of refreshed you for The Good Wife a little bit, and if the writers saw, if they've ever seen that show, and if they brought it a little bit. Had you guys ever seen this show?
Yeah.
And we didn't intentionally bring anything from it, did it?
No, I feel like there's such different characters. She was such a, I don't want to say harsh person, but that was a woman whose career always came before anything else, and it was just very different ideas behind it. The one thing I did take from it is the research I got to do on it, and I happen to be married to a lawyer, so he got me into every federal court case I wanted to go to, and so the research I had done for Canterbury's Law enabled me not to have to do research for this show, which was good. But no, I find this so much more politically based and personal and very different.
We almost didn't go to you because we didn't think you'd want to do a lawyer again after Canterbury's Law.
Right.
That was
the
only effect.
You were mistaken.
Okay, thank you. Here.
So thanks again for being here. You guys tackle some difficult issues with a lot of the cases, especially I noticed with the Palestinian and Israeli conflict on the college campus. And I was just wondering, as writers and as actors, were you guys worried about that at all, or in terms of the reception of the episode and what you were thinking about that?
I was the one pushing for that as the season opener. Oh, well, the Palestinian-Israeli situation. People love that. They'll show up in droves. I think yeah, it was supposed to be, it was another issue. It was I don't know.
Can't imagine what dinners are like.
It always feels like when you go home for vacation to talk with your family or whatever, you get into arguments not about small things. You get into arguments about what people think about abortion or someone being fired for their religious convictions, things like that. And it felt like as long as you hit what the CBS twists needed, why couldn't you do something that's in the news right now? And you're always looking for the thing that cable can't do, because cable is so far ahead of network in emotional depth and complexity. The one thing they can't do, because they shoot usually a lump of them and then show them in a lump, is writing as you're showing the episodes. And the other thing is trying to play off what's going on in the news. We saw Mark Zuckerberg was meeting with his version in China, and the suggestion was social media was trying to cut up the Chinese market. And so within 3 weeks, we were writing that episode, and within a month and a half, it was in. So it always feels like you can kind of hit the cutting edge of where the news is going if you can just play off of what you're reading in the newspaper that morning.
Well, the military episode as well, with the
drones,
which was the opening of that was very unusual for the show, and
yeah, and
the trick with these issues is that one never wants to end up earnest, and that seems like what we're always having to fight against.
Yeah, because once you went down the drone path, you could kind of see the way the liberal expectations would go, which would be, oh, the military's covering up or something, and this poor woman, and you, in fact, they kind of get stuck in the liberal bias of thinking they can play the sexism card. So a lot of it is you have a lot of arguments in the writers' room about what people truly believe, not just what they think they should believe because they live in LA or New York. And a lot of that drone thing was trying to see it from the military side. and we had this wonderful actress who played the judge, which is the real reason we went back to the military, was to bring her back.
Lynn Neiman.
Yeah.
You can see her on
Amazing.
Broadway in Death of a Salesman.
Yeah.
I mean, we're shooting an episode right now about Syria. And I texted Robert today. I was reading the New York Times. Robert, New York Times page, 13 or whatever. It was as though Robert, knew that this would be news, because you began writing this episode, weeks ago, surely.
And what's great is when we do
uncanny.
ADR recording, we can even place it even closer to the date, because the Arab Spring in Egypt just started happening when we were doing the Great Firewall episode. So we were able to stick in lines about Egypt
Yeah. Incredible.
as someone was covering their mouth like that.
I just want to say thanks for being here, but I saw Josh like 5 years ago in Dunkin' Donuts, and he just gave me like a kind smile, so it's nice to see you on one of my favorite shows. Christine's fashion on the show is definitely, I watch every week because of the storyline, of course, but I have to see what you're wearing also. It's like, but this question is really for the writers. I wanted to know, from season 1, I don't really notice it so much now, but you used to write phoned all the time, and this is something that really used to drive me crazy. Like, I never understood. You never said call, like she'll call him. It was always she phoned him or I phoned him. And I was wondering if that was, because you said you like to mess with us a little bit.
No.
So I wanted to know if that was a conscious thing.
I was surprised people don't say phone. So it was, and now in the writer's room, I have to pay a little money every time I use phone in conversation. I have tried to convert myself to call, and something you'll see a lot of is the numbers 44 or 45. Everybody's either being sued for $45,000 or $44 million. We're trying to shake things up. The problem is, on these schedules that we're on, the dates, it becomes this dreamlike state of writing where you're just like, oh geez. And then we go back to it. We had a person who was supposed to check for every time phone was written.
Okay.
So if you saw right around the middle of second year, we changed it.
I did notice that. I don't see it.
That's
somewhere.
because there's one injury.
You're not the only
believe
one
that you
to
picked
complain
up on
about
it.
this.
Okay. It's not really a complaint. It was just something that I wondered. Like,
Yeah.
A lot of people wrote in about it.
okay. Thank you.
No, are you kidding?
Yeah. No, a lot of
No,
people.
we're serious.
Yeah.
Wow.
Welcome to social media.
Okay, here.
So I spent quite a bit of time in the first 2 seasons yelling at Alicia, because there were many times when she was in a stressful situation with another character and I just wanted her to scream at her husband or tell him what she really thought, but you held it in and so composed, and now I want to be Alicia and be that composed. Was that you, Julianna, or was that written into the script? How did that
Yeah, I
happen?
think it's you.
Well, I think
not
it's a
in
good
life,
mix
but-
of both. Alicia, she holds everything in, and she's, I think, an incredibly repressed human being. And the journey that I find interesting is trying to find her inner self come out a little more. I also think there's an amazing amount of power in silence. And she is the type of person who thinks before she speaks. So if she doesn't know what to say, she's not going to say it.
That's what I'm going to channel.
And I admire her for that. I'm not that way. I'll react immediately, and I think she's so eloquent in many ways, and also really messed up, because you can't keep that in. It's a cancer. And so I think in so many ways her life ended up a huge mess because of it. And at the same time, she's admirable, because of course you want her to scream at someone. You want her to say to both of these people, that slut Glinda fucked my husband, and why the fuck do you want me to be doing a case with her? Of course, but that's not the high road.
Class, baby.
It's also not network, I guess.
This has turned into The Sopranos. This fucking bastard.
Which you had some experience
Oh
with
yes,
The
yes,
Sopranos.
that was fun. Good times.
First, I just want to say thank you to all of you for everything you contributed to the show. There are very few shows that I consider certain shows to be entertainment purely, and then shows that are TV as art. And I think this is one of the only shows on network television that achieves that. The other thing I